Hello guys, it's Ryan back with another video. Today, let's talk about what I think is one of the best headphones you can buy, especially gaming headsets, but even amongst audiophile headphones, I think this is one of the best audiophile headphones you can get, which is the Audeze Maxwell. Now, I've had this for over a year and 4 months, and they have done a lot of firmware updates on this. Like, I feel like I've updated at least 5 times since then. And then I also have some Earpads as well. So I have some Earpads from Dekoni that are replacement Earpads that can actually change the sound of it a little bit and for the better as well. So I'll talk about those as well. And just my thoughts of why I really do think this thing is a high value for money, and the sound quality of these planar magnetic drivers that it has in there really stands out amongst the crowd, and just all the features it has. One of the things that I just really like about this headset is the fact that you can really connect this with so many different connectivity. This thing has, a 2.4 gigahertz dongle for, lightning fast wireless if you're gaming. It has Bluetooth capability. You can hook this up using 3.5 millimeter, as well as a USB-C cable if you want that lossless audio, so you can kind of connect it directly into all your devices. The fact that it has those 4 different connection types on one headphone is really insane already, in my opinion. And then it also has a microphone. There's actually a microphone built in if you didn't even have the microphone connected. So just the amount of just options you have is insane. And then the microphone actually has its own like super noise canceling function as well, which is just like amazing. It's really, really, really powerful noise canceling just built into the microphone on the headset. So really you can do everything. It also has tons of controls, which it has its own built-in EQ. So one of the things I think that makes this headphone really unique is the fact that it has built-in tuning using EQ. So you basically get like the best tuning you can get outside the box of this headphone. And the other thing about the tuning of it is that, there's different profiles that have presets, and you can make your own that you can save. So really, this is just a super, super versatile device. The thing that makes it really stand out, I think, amongst the crowd is simply the drivers of these. The planar drivers in these are just extremely detailed, coupled with the fact that you tune it with the EQ really makes it just a wonderful tuning. And it really kind of destroys everything I've heard. Like, I'm just gonna be honest, it really does destroy everything I've heard. Anything under $300, even the Sennheiser headphones, this thing to me sounds better than all of them. And I just think it's because simply the drivers in here are just more detailed. They're able to play a lot of bass. I feel like that's the biggest problem with a lot of like audiophile headphones, is a lot of them don't have that much bass, and they kind of leak or have not much sub bass at all, versus this headphone really has all of that built in, and it's kind of crazy. And not only do you get bass, but you can get boosted bass as well. So sound quality of it is kind of nuts, right? So the other high value proposition that this headphone really presents to me is, like, if you think about it, you have this headphone, and then you have this is a DAC, right? So we have the iFi Zen DAC V3. This is like $230 for the DAC. And then let's say you get another gaming headphone. This would be what I consider the best FPS headphone. This is the EPOS H6 Pro. It's another $180. I think it might be on sale now, so it's a little cheaper. But if you bought this and the DAC together, you're looking at about $400 in total, which is a lot of money, right? And you're still kind of chained to like your desk, and it's wired, versus if you spent $300 on the Maxwell, you get, these amazing drivers that are more detailed. You also get all the wireless capability of it as well. And you just get a lot more functionality, and you don't really have to worry about buying like, a DAC or amp to kind of power your headphones. It's just built in, and it's really good on these ones. Like, I really don't hear any kind of noise or like static from the kind of built-in amplifier. A lot of wireless headphones, you can hear that, but for these, you can't hear that as well. So the quality of it is just honestly immense, right? So we also have the Audeze MM100, which is, the open back or the studio headphone or the audiophile headphone that Audeze also makes. But in comparison to the Maxwell, it's $100 more expensive. It does sound more open, more spacious, bigger sound stage for sure, but it doesn't have the same bass level that you get from the Audeze Maxwell, and the tuning, quite frankly, isn't as good as the Maxwell, because the Maxwell has EQ to make the tuning better. And obviously, like I said, you have wireless and all those other features, and it's cheaper than even their own product at $400. So for me, the Maxwell itself really is a kind of just a better value pick across the board, right? And I feel like that is the story a lot of times. Like, you can, like I said, you can have Sennheiser headphones, there's Banggood headphones. They don't really sound as good as the Maxwell, in my opinion. So for me, I always just keep recommending this headphone. If you really want the best value, this is really it. Like, when I first started my audiophile journey, I actually had the previous version of this headphone, which was the Audeze Mobius, or they also had it called the HyperX Cloud Orbit S. That headphone really, really set the bar really high, in my opinion. And then every headphone after that just didn't really sound as well tuned as it, And I always felt like as I continue on my audiophile journey, more and more expensive stuff and more kind of pricey stuff, it was really hard to beat the value and the sound quality of just a $300 headphone. That's really kind of how I feel. Along the way, I've picked up other headphones. Like we have the Dio FT5. It's a planar magnetic headphone. Honestly, it's really fun. It is more open sounding, has a lot of bass. It's a very fun headphone. There's definitely different like benefits. For this one, obviously, I wouldn't really say it's a gaming headphone. It's more of an audiophile headphone. But, the tuning of the mid-range and the vocals are just still not as good as the Maxwell, right? That's the one thing. It is pretty good, honestly, though. But the Maxwell still, it kind of cheats it out. And this is $450, like I said. And this is, well, $300. Once again, we have another example, which is the HiFiMan HE6 SE. This thing does sound more detailed, does sound more open on all this, but the vocals on this thing, the mid-range, is really pushed back on this headphone. And that's the thing that, I've always missed my vocals on this headphone. And well, it is also $650 when I bought it. So it's definitely way more expensive as well. And once again, it has planar drivers, but Maxwell is a better value. Once again, and the tunings of a lot of these headphones just aren't as good because it's really hard to tune things without electronics, honestly. I mean, I do have the Abyss Dyna MR. I feel like obviously this thing is like $3,000 and the tuning of it is actually really good. And yeah, I mean, it is actually across the board pretty much better than Maxwell. So besides that though, it was really hard for me to find something that could really beat the Maxwell at a reasonable price, to be honest, right? So that is kind of how I feel in a modern landscape. So if you're really looking for the best audio experience just for story mode gaming and stuff like that, I really think this is really good. When it comes to competitive shooters, I do think this headphone is still pretty decent. I would say obviously there's better kind of imaging headphones or better directionality, which like I said, I still lean to the EPOS HX Pro. It's still the best headphone I own, even amongst like audiophile headphones, all these type of things I own. This one still stands out as the best one. It just has these angled drivers and it's angled really well that when things sound like they're in front of you, they're really just in front of you. I can literally shoot people through like with my eyes closed or like literally inside the smoke and through walls all the time. So this one really is still the best at that. But the sound quality still goes to the Maxwell. So let's talk about the pads, right? So I think they're Elite Sheepskin and then they're Elite Velour. So this actually the Elite Sheepskin is already on the Maxwell. So spoiler alert, I do actually prefer the Elite Sheepskin over their base pad. And the reason why is that the treble and the air on the actual Dekoni pads are actually better than the stock pads. I always felt like there wasn't enough treble on the Maxwell, and a lot of times I would have to EQ it up to hear more of that treble energy. And with these pads, I don't really have to do that. It just sounds a lot more airy, a lot more, I guess, quote, quote, audiophile. You definitely get a lot more of that treble detail out of these pads from Dekoni. So I think they did a really wonderful job. So if you're looking for replacement pads, I definitely think this Elite Sheepskin really is actually better and something that you should definitely try if you really like your Maxwells. The base ear pads actually are nice though. I mean, they're nice and soft. They're actually kind of softer, while these are more memory foamy than this kind of Dekoni ones, versus they're kind of the velour pads. So these are definitely unique, they're velour, but I just don't really recommend them over the sheepskin. Their base of it is just kind of lost. You lose a lot of your sub bass. Obviously you can EQ it up a lot just to try to get it back, but then the mid-range is also tuned a little bit far back. So you kind of have to balance it, and the upper mid-range seems to like come out. So the overall tuning, it changes it a lot on the Maxwell. and it makes a lot of those like presets not really work. So you would have to use a lot of their EQ just to fix it. So personally, I understand if you want velour so it doesn't get hot, but I feel like it changes the tuning too much and just like a lot of work you would have to put into it just to make it sound good again, versus just slapping on their elite sheepskin, which basically makes the stock pads but sound better. And you can use the same presets. Like I've been using Audeze and Immersive. Those are pretty much my favorite one. Immersive being still my favorite preset on the Maxwell, so that's still the one that I would prefer to use on it. And you know, something I noticed about this with all the like the updated firmwares and stuff, I feel like the immersive preset seems to have more mid bass than I remember it having before. I feel like they might have made that change, but at least that's what it feels like. And then the second thing that I noticed was that, you know, my volume doesn't really get as high, I feel like, or at least when I'm connecting it through USB-C to my iPhone's like basically like almost maxing out its volume just to get like a normal listening level for me for my Maxwell. So that's something I've noticed with the updated firmwares, but really this headphone is still pretty similar with a lot of, I guess, the bugs that were ironed out. I didn't really experience that much, but I also am a PC player, so maybe it just didn't really affect me because I'm on PC. But yeah, my conclusion really is the Maxwell, you know, is a very, very, very good headphone. And with the Dekoni pad, it feels a little bit more hi-fi, more audiophile with that more treble kind of pushing forward. So I am enjoying this headphone a lot with that. And that's just kind of my update for you guys. I hope you guys found this video useful. Please like and subscribe down below. Helps my videos out. And you guys definitely want to follow so you don't miss out on more audio related reviews. Anyways, I'll see you guys in my next video.